Almost a year ago, my Lord and Savior Scott the Woz put out a video talking about games from his childhood and everything that helped shape his current gaming habits. And not that long ago, a new creator in the space named ScClarity also put out a video talking about games she grew up with as a kid. And after Scott's video, I had the idea like, oh, I can do the same. I could talk about games I grew up with. And, that was 10 months ago. So finally, after seeing somebody else do it, I think it's time for me to do it too. So this will be kind of a mini series. I don't want to talk about them all in one video. It's a lot of games. Not saying I grew up with a lot of games, but I played 3 different systems. You'll see why I say systems in just a second. But I think it's a little bit better pacing for us to talk about one group of games and then another group of games and then my favorite group of games that I had from when I was growing up, just based on system. So there will be 2 more episodes of this after this one. But for now, we're going to start with just a good Kickstarter. We're going to talk about PC games I grew up playing. So that's kind of why I said system, right? Not a console in the traditional sense of a gaming console. But I played a ton of PC games growing up. I don't entirely know how that happened. I think I just kind of had a computer in my room when I was really little. And then my parents just got me licensed games, and it all went from there. I'm pretty sure not every single game, but most of the games that I'm going to show off here are licensed games in one way or another. So that's kind of cool, but definitely games that if you know me well enough, you know they're right up my alley. So we'll get right into it, and we'll talk about 2 other systems and 2 other videos, but for now, the PC games. So I didn't do any research for these games because as a young Max, I didn't care who made these games. I just cared about them being fun, and all of them were fun. So, that's the thing. Oh, and the other thing too is that I told myself I would never collect PC games, but after seeing Scott's video about it, I was like, well, maybe what if I just get the PC games that I had growing up? So PC games aren't worth a whole lot in general. So, I ended up buying just the PC games I had growing up. But this isn't going to be a new habit of buying games. I think I have most of them from when I was growing up, minus like 2 that you'll see in the video, and you'll see why. So, okay, now we'll actually get started. So the first one is The Adventures of Elmo in Grouchland, which is just an adventure of Elmo, and you kind of go all over the place in the Sesame Street world. And you're just, I don't even know if you're doing tasks. You're kind of just playing mini games. On the back here, like the ones that I can remember the most, the cleaning Grouchmobiles, a mountain that I don't totally remember, but I kind of remember, like you have to go up the mountain, and then like the very first minigame is playing hide and seek in Elmo's room with his blanket, which it's kind of cool. And this is actually a good chance to mention that when I got all these games, I did my best to try and play them. So obviously my laptop does not run like Windows 2000 or whatever is supposed to be running these games, so they did not work great. They actually did load though, and that was very surprising to me that I was able to get at least something out of them. So it was kind of interesting to go back to those old just single screens, like, oh my god, I remember this, even though I had no idea what I was doing. Still pretty cool. So not that I'm one day going to get like an old PC. That's not going to happen, but it is cool to get this. So, I was a big Sesame Street fan growing up, and I think Elmo and Grouchland was like a movie, or maybe if it was like a special episode, like extended episode. But I remember something Elmo and Grouchland, and then I guess my parents were just like Sesame Street, Elmo, had to get it. My mom tells me stories, when I was little, how she waited in line for like a Tickle Me Elmo when I was very little. I guess that was either like the year or 2 after I was born, something to that effect. I could be totally wrong, but she said she remembers waiting for that for just a single toy for like Christmas. So yeah, I was a big Sesame Street fan back in the day, but couldn't tell you anything about it now. Next one is kind of an interesting one because I don't really like football. However, the backyard games are fantastic, and they hold a very special place in my heart. And a game like this may come back near the end of the episode. So I don't like football. Let's get that clear. I can watch football now, in groups, and Sunday night football is watching with friends. But for the most part, I don't go out of my way to watch football unless it's like the only thing on and I can fall asleep to it. But backyard football is it. So I think if I remember correctly, my dad worked with somebody who I guess got a copy of backyard football, and for some reason they knew my dad had a son and they were like, why don't you give this game to him so he could play backyard football? I had played other backyard sports games and never played backyard football, but I gave it a shot, and I learned something of what I was doing, and I learned it enough to actually have fun, even though I had no idea what I was doing calling plays. There was one play called the claw, which I remember, I guess it was just two wide receivers just splitting up, and it kind of looks like a claw. That's all I could tell you about it. I don't remember much. And I tried playing it again. Controls partially didn't work on a laptop, but I remember like the choosing players screen. I remember like how they chose who picked first, like the seams or whatever it was. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, I definitely don't know anything about football, but this game, backyard football, is it. And this game was also, I think, developed by Humongous Entertainment, and Humongous might come back soon in the very near future here. So before we get there, though, let's talk about A Bug's Life. So there's a series of games, these like Disney Active Play games that were just licensed games based on Disney movies or Pixar movies. I'm sure there's other movies too that weren't Disney or Pixar, but I had a few of them that were just like Disney's Active Play or Pixar's Active Play. It might have been just Disney Pixar movies. I don't know, but I figure there's more than just a few Active Play games. And I don't remember a lot about like what actually happens in A Bug's Life, like in this, but I'm looking on the back of the case and I see screenshots that I remember from the PC game. Could not tell you what they were. I don't think I gave this one a shot, like trying to test it out. I just wanted to get the game. Like I said, these are so cheap anyway. But yeah, I remember just looking at these, like wondering what the heck I was doing here. But Bug's Life. I do like A Bug's Life. It's a good movie. So if you haven't seen it, go see it. But yeah, there's Disney Pixar's Active Play, Bug's Life. Next, speaking of Humongous Entertainment, this is a good one. Probably, if it wasn't for another Humongous Entertainment game that happens to be in this pile, this might have been the last of the episode game to talk about. And this is Freddy Fish and the Case of the Missing Kelp Seeds. It's a point-and-click adventure in the Freddy Fish universe where you have to, I don't even remember, find, was it Grandma Grouper's Missing Kelp Seeds? I think it was Grandma Grouper's Missing Kelp Seeds. They get stolen, so you have to go all over this little universe that is created and just trigger like the next thing that happens in the story. And I remember playing through this a couple times, and I do really like Freddy Fish. I remember I had a friend who also had Freddy Fish games. I didn't have any other Freddy Fish games, but I had this one, and when I went to friends' houses, I played the other Freddy Fish games. So that's kind of cool. I really, really like this game. It's a fun game, right? I mean, it's a game for kids 3 to 8, as it says on the back, so I'm not going to spend all my days playing this. But there is actually a speed run out there of it, so it's kind of funny too. But this is a great game, and when I first started collecting, like super early, this is probably actually right in the middle of the pandemic, I found out that this port of the game existed, a Wii port, Freddy Fish Kelp Seed Mystery. So slightly changed title, but the exact same game, and it works out great on the Wii because the Wii mode is a great point-and-click medium, if you will. So I played through it again for the last time I did it was probably 2020, maybe even 2021, where I played through this version of the game, and it was a great way to play it again. So if you're looking for an obscure PC game that maybe you didn't play as a kid, Freddy Fish Kelp Seed Mystery on the Wii or on PC, you'll get through it in half an hour, but it's fun in my opinion. I don't know. So Freddy Fish Kelp Seed Mystery I like a lot. Next one is another game kind of like A Bug's Life game where I did not know what was happening in the game. I understood the premise of this one, and this one was also actually in Scott's video. This is Nickelodeon Toon Twister 3D, where you are making movies based on characters in the Nickelodeon universe. So just on the back screen alone, they have Jimmy Neutron and SpongeBob in SpongeBob's house. So that's kind of all you need to say. Looks like you can pick characters from SpongeBob, Jimmy Neutron, Rugrats, and the Fairly OddParents, which are all shows I loved growing up. Fairly OddParents was definitely my favorite show growing up, but that's not to say anything bad about those other three, because I love Jimmy Neutron and Rugrats and SpongeBob. So it was a movie maker. My small child brain could not figure out what was going on, but yeah, just put characters in other universes and kids will figure out the rest but I did not. But Nickelodeon, love Disney, love Nickelodeon, so that was it. So the next one is actually really, really weird because this is what I would consider obscure. This is definitely not one that any random kid would have had, but it would have been something I had as a kid. So if you recall from when we were growing up, there was like a Lego alternative called Imaginext. I think that's what it was called. I can kind of like hear the jingle for the commercials in my head. Imaginext was like you would build like, or you would get like a medieval set. So you'd build like a medieval castle and then have like some medieval figures, Lego, but a little bit more pre-made for you. And of those kind of, I don't call them obscure because they were popular, I think at least. But of those obscure toys that came out, one of them was Rescue Heroes. And I was a big Rescue Heroes fan. I remember having the figures. I can like, my vague memory is like once getting like a treasure hunt that my parents set up for me just to find a Rescue Heroes figure. I have no idea if that actually happened, but I seem to remember that happening. And I guess either in one of the figures or in one of the sets that came in with a Rescue Heroes came Rescue Heroes Hurricane Havoc, which was like a whopping 6 activities. I mean, all these were like no activities, right? Some of these I knew what I was doing, some of these I didn't, but you were going through like different, I don't know if they were all like based in this hurricane idea or if it was just different things that were going wrong around the Rescue Heroes universe. But I loved Rescue Heroes. I tried playing the one random Rescue Heroes game that was on PS1. I didn't really know what I was doing, but this one, when I saw this again, when I was going through all the PC games I had in my head, I kept like picking up new ones, kept remembering new ones, and when I remembered this one, I was like, oh, I have to find that one. So Rescue Heroes Hurricane Havoc is definitely an interesting one. But Rescue Heroes in general, if you've never heard of it, they're just figures that I think were probably very popular among young boys in the early 2000s. So yeah, Rescue Heroes. Next one is another one that was actually featured in Scott's video, but I also played SpongeBob SquarePants, Operation Krabby Patty. So I just said Nickelodeon is like it. I love Nickelodeon. SpongeBob, obviously love SpongeBob. And I think the first screen is like you're getting SpongeBob out of bed. I'm looking at it on the back and I remember that. I remember this like, it was like a really weird art style for like a Nickelodeon game. Same thing with the Toon Twister game. Like the graphics were just not plain cartoon like they were, in the show, obviously. So just very weird way of like looking at these characters that, small brain child cannot comprehend. But I remember the one I definitely see on the back that I remember is like trying to get SpongeBob's boating permit. So you're driving around in this boat, and I don't even know how I found my way around anything, if I ever actually did. But I do remember playing this game. I do remember the bizarre graphics associated with it. And it was SpongeBob, so naturally my parents were like, oh, he must love SpongeBob. And I did. So that's SpongeBob. Next one. If you've heard of Rescue Heroes, I can almost guarantee you haven't heard of this one. Maybe the people I went to elementary school with, maybe you remember this, but this is a throwback. So when I was in elementary school, I very distinctly remember having like St. Jude's Children's Hospital fundraisers that I guess most elementary schools did, or maybe a lot of them did. I seem to remember us doing it almost every year, but there would be different things you could do to fundraise money, whether it be like, I say that I don't even remember what the things were, but the one thing I do remember is getting a PC game that was all about math. So this was Mathathon 2, The Mystery of the Missing Laboratory. And it's as weird as it sounds that it was a St. Jude's game developed just to, I guess, help these fundraiser events. And I only remember participating in this thing only through this game. And I couldn't even tell you, like, how my progress in the game associated with fundraising. But I remember playing this game. It's about math, so I'm kind of okay at math. So a game all about math for the PC when I was a budding mathematician. Kind of weird looking characters that you play as too, like this guy right here. I think at the bottom left it says Puzzle Pet, so I don't know if that was like another trademark or another thing that just happened to like be in the St. Jude's universe. I don't know. But I'm also looking at some of the screens on the back. I'm like, I remember that 100%. I see Fraction Fields as part of the map, and yeah, that definitely hits in the memory bank. I found this one brand new, which was kind of weird. I don't even know how somebody would have this, like, stored somewhere, let alone brand spanking new. I also think the guy I bought it from had 2 brand new copies. So that's even more bizarre. But Mathathon 2, but I will never forget the St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital part. So that's kind of funny. Next one is what I actually do remember spending a lot of time with and doing a lot of different activities. And I don't know if it was because I was older or if because I played it a lot more, but I do remember this one a lot. This was Disney's Activity Center, another one. I guess it wasn't just Disney Pixar, it was also Disney games. And this one you did all sorts of different stuff in the Tarzan universe. I don't have the back of the game to tell me kind of what was going on in there, but I remember there's one where you play as like baby Tarzan, and you are walking kind of across platforms to try and drop furniture or drop things to the bottom, and you have to clear all of those. But you might have like the pirates walking around trying to catch you, or you might have other gorillas trying to catch you, or like Sabor, the cheetah, trying to catch you. So I do remember that. That one at least. There was also like a Music Maker one. I remember that. There was probably a drawing one, I think. There was some kind of like Pong game too. I remember that as well. So definitely, or not Pong, like a Brick Breaker, I should say, or Arkanoid, I think is the most accurate description of it. But I do definitely remember playing ones in this, and I can tell you most of them. And I think when I was booting this one up to play it in my computer, I guess one effect of trying to run older games is like you get a black screen until you like move your cursor over. So I remember having to like unblacken some of the screens to show some of what I was doing. But I do remember that. I do remember Tarzan's Activity Center. This was definitely one of the best. Before we get to one more Activity Center, this is one where I don't actually have the PC version for, because I have it on console, so I didn't feel the need to get it on PC. So for the purpose of this video, not great, but for the purpose of the collection, at least I have it. And that's Toy Story 2. This one's on N64, obviously, but I played the PC version growing up. And when I tell you that I was so lost in that game, I am dead serious that I have no clue, had no clue what I was doing in that game. When I booted this one up to try it, because I needed to get the Toy Story 2 game for my collection as a huge Toy Story 2 fan, best movie of all time, might I add. Even playing the N64 version as an adult, no clue what was going on. I went through this, and not went through it. I didn't even get out of like Andy's house, and I had no clue what was going on. So if I didn't know what was going on now, at my current age, I definitely did not know what was going on here. But I remember having it. I remember being happy to have it because it was Toy Story, and I loved Toy Story. But yeah, could not once figure this out. So what probably ended up happening is that since I couldn't figure that game out, either my parents got this one before or after that, but then it's the Toy Story 2 Activity Center. And this is another one. I can't quite remember a lot of the games associated with this Activity Center. One I can really remember is kind of like a Frogger type thing, where in Toy Story 2 you are moving from Al's Toy Barn to Al's apartment building. You have to cross the street, or maybe you were crossing the street to get to Al's Toy Barn, something to that effect. Wow, how do I not remember my favorite movie of all time? But in the game, I don't remember exactly what you're doing. So that's one thing I remember. There's another one where you're in the airport trying to find Woody, but all these different suitcases that you jump over all have different effects. So kind of weird, kind of bizarre. But yeah, if I didn't like Toy Story 2, this Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue version, this one was it. So yeah, if it wasn't clear that I like Toy Story, here it is. One thing I'll also add, which is really, really interesting, is on the back of Toy Story 2 Activity Center and the Tarzan Activity Center, they are advertising other items to get in like the Toy Story merchandise realm. And on both of the Tarzan 1 and Toy Story 2, there's the soundtrack. They show that, you know, go get the CD soundtrack. There's a cassette tape, which is, I guess it's the entire movie on cassette. I don't know how accurate, or is it a cassette with a book? It might be a cassette with a book, which is even weirder. I've never seen that in real life before, so if I ever see that, I might have to get that. But and there's also a sing-along here too, so that's pretty cool too. All the weird merchandise that went along with the release of these movies. You know, games make a lot of sense, even though if they don't really release in the same way, you know, in 2024. But Toy Story 2 is it. And the very best for last, the game I guarantee I spent the most time with when I was younger, because it was most accurate to what my interests were at the time, and that would be backyard baseball. So another one, I don't have the PC version. I have no reason to play the PC version when I can just play it on PS2. I also may or may not have the GameCube version behind me somewhere, but not playing it on PC, the number one place I would play it was PS2. And there's so many memories I have with this game. Two memories I definitely remember is that I had a friend that had this version of the game, so he was the only person I was ever able to play two-player with at his house. So that was awesome. And the other memory that I definitely have is I can picture one random day. I want to say I was in either 3rd or 4th grade, but I remember being an early bird when I was that young. Now it's like before 10 a.m., it's not happening. But then, I'd be up at 6, I'd be up at 7, just like getting ready, wanting to eat my cereal, get ready for the day. And then I knew that once I was ready, if I had time, I could go play games on the PC. So one random morning, I happened to wake up at like 3 o'clock a.m. and I was like, well, I guess I can get up and get ready now. So I got up and got ready, went downstairs to our family computer and played this from like 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. when I normally would wake up to get ready for the day. And my mom woke up and she was freaking out because I wasn't in my bed. Like, obviously, why is this? How old are you in 3rd or 4th grade? I don't know. I guess 9 or 10, maybe 8, 9, 10. Why is my 8-year-old not in his bed? Well, this 8-year-old was playing backyard baseball on the family computer downstairs. So she came downstairs and was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I've been up for 4 hours playing backyard baseball, naturally. So first year of playing baseball, I didn't love it, but after that I became an absolute baseball freak. Not so much anymore, hockey's where it's at, but backyard baseball is definitely one of the reasons why I continued to like baseball, because this is like the most fun I've ever had playing a baseball game. And I may or may not be currently playing this now just to get through something a little different, something I haven't gone through in a while. So if you're not familiar with backyard baseball, like backyard football, you have these fictional characters in this backyard universe, and you have pro players like on the back. I mean, you see Alex Rodriguez right here, but there's also Alfonso Soriano, Ichiro, Jim Tomei, all players I remember when I was like collecting baseball cards as like an 8-year-old. So definitely good memories of that. I love this game as is. I remember playing it on PC, and now I love playing it on PS2. And definitely a game I have really good memories of. So the Humongous Entertainment games you saw here, 2 backyard games, Freddy Fish, and I do also remember advertisements for other games in the Humongous Entertainment franchise. Spy Fox is one of them, Putt Putt, Pajama Sam, and I have some of those games behind me, actually. And actually, now that I think about it, there's a Switch collection that was just released, the Humongous Entertainment collection that had games like Putt Putt and Freddy Fish and all those on that. And it's on Switch, and I have it. I just forgot to pull it out for this video, but this is okay. It's okay. So that is the first wave of games that I grew up with. It won't be PC games in the next episode. It'll be recognizable systems that I played growing up. So we'll do this for 2 more episodes, and we'll worry about that when we get there. But thank you so much for watching. I hope this was fun to listen to and see the games that I grew up with and helps shape the person I am today. Still playing backyard baseball now, so I guess that says a lot. Played Freddy Fish not that long ago, and Disney movies are I'm never going to shake that. So for sure. So I hope you learned something. If I happen to miss anything about these games that you happen to know, let me know. Would love to learn about these games as much as I hopefully taught you. So with that said, bye.